Alright, today is going to be part 2 of the control panel wiring install. Alright, today's plan is going to be to see if we can remote mount those the power buttons on the front of the UPS over on the new control panel rack, because I really don't want to keep opening and closing the door every time I want to turn it on or off. It would be cool to put it on that new rack and call it a day. And I guess I did kind of jump the gun a little bit and, you know, install those switches on that panel, but, you know, I guess if I can't figure it out, then I'll find another use for those buttons. And I think I'm going to remove the UPS for a couple of reasons. One is obviously for the buttons. Second one is to vacuum it out. And the third is I've got a couple of 100 amp fuses on the back that are kind of secured to the back of the UPS with some screws, you know, on the inside going out, holding the fuses. I need to remove those. I think I'm going to mount the other DIN rail on the back there, and I'm also going to put my HRC fuses kind of in the back as well. And if the video isn't too long, of course I'm trying to shorten these videos up if I can. If the video's not too long, I think I'm going to pull out the 7S pack so I can attach my shunt trip wire to that. That wire will then run up to the terminal block that's going to be on the back of the UPS, and then, you know, go over to the other rack and the expansion board that's connected to the Patron BMS, which is the Watchman 4. I'm still using that. And just so everybody knows, again, I'm not going to buy a 48 to 24 volt converter for this, because on the expansion board it's just a relay and it's not connected. So this 24 volt wire is technically going to be an open circuit until the Patron trips it or I hit the emergency stop button. And I didn't want to waste the time of getting a 48 to 24 volt converter, because it is just one more thing that has the potential to break down. And since this is more of like an emergency, you know, circuit type deal, I wanted it to be as reliable as possible. That's pretty much the main reason of me going that route. Another reminder is I will have the 4th grade wiring diagram, you know, available for download in a link below. That's really just if you guys want to follow it or to see if I, you know, mess up the wiring diagram. Okie dokie, let's get to it. So what I did real quick, obviously, is remove that front panel right here. And if we lift this guy up here and pull off these switches, there's a switch here and a switch here. What I need to figure out real quick is follow the traces a little bit and figure out where they go to on these pins. And it looks like on this right side they're actually connected together on this pin 2, and then this top switch, it's connected to this pin right here. So what I'm going to do is kind of short those two out and make sure it turns on. Yeah, it works. Alright, so we're on. That green LED is lit up and there's an orange one there. So we are live now. So now the bottom pin over here kind of jumps over to this little test port right here. So I need to go down to that next pin there to turn it off. Alright, so that works. And I could technically just solder in the wires right here and then kind of run them off to the side, to the back, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think what I'm gonna do is actually pull the UPS out, which I'm not looking forward to, and maybe tap into it on the inside. So what we're gonna do next is unhook the wires from the back and then pull the UPS out. Alright, so if everybody has kind of forgotten about what the back side of this looks like, I have my battery positive coming in right here, going into a whole bunch of terminals that I kind of built up right here. It goes through a 100 amp fuse and then into the UPS. Same for the ground. I got a little build up right here. It goes through a 100 amp fuse and into the UPS. These two red and black ones are from the charge controller. These are the sense wires, which I'm probably going to install over there on the other rack. These other two wires right here, one of them powers the Watchman and one powers the shunt. One thing I will be doing is changing out this style of fuse to one of the ceramic fuses. This is just what I had at the time. And of course this ground wire here goes to the Watchman as well. So pretty much what we're going to be doing obviously is disconnecting the power and disconnecting all these terminals here real quick, and then taking out the UPS. And this is the other main reason why I am taking out the UPS, because I need to get rid of these these fuses right here, and I'm gonna install that other terminal block somewhere back here. And I'm probably gonna throw the HRC fuses right over here. All right, so let's rip this sucker out. I am not looking forward to this at all. So you're gonna see me struggle probably a lot. So the plan is pull it out straight onto the table. Probably gonna disconnect all the packs for safety. I should pull them out, but I don't know if I'm going to. Here goes the struggle. And I did put some little wheel chucks in there, so hopefully this thing doesn't try to move. Here we go. Alright, I saved you all the time of me pulling out all the screws, so we're going to pull off the cover here. So the main reason of me pulling this off, for one, is to remove these two fuses right here. And I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a ribbon cable right there that kind of goes back here a little bit further. I'm going to probably follow it to wherever it goes and then make my power button attachments and stuff back here, wherever that goes. So some of this I'm probably just going to do off camera, like removing this type of stuff. Once I get to the soldering of the power button wires and whatnot, I'll turn the camera back on. I made a few other modifications to this UPS while the camera was off because I had to figure out exactly what I was going to do. So the plan is I'm going to remove this panel right here because I typically only use the 20 amp output. The reason I'm going to be doing that is because I am going to mount the HRC fuses right here, and then, oh, I just lost the screw. I'm going to put a DIN rail right here. That way I can put all of my other connections and stuff right here. That way I have some strain relief and all that kind of stuff, and it should turn out to be pretty nice. I guess we will find out. Anyway, these little terminals right here are actually going to connect to here. I'm going to need 3 of these, and then all the other ones I'm going to have over here are going to be going to the 24-volt rail and a few other random things. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. Is I am going to mount these things up real quick, and then we will start wiring this up. Alrighty, I ended up putting my HRC fuses on the back, and of course I put a DIN rail on the back as well. Now to mount this on here, I did have to make a little plate, and as you can tell I don't have any more 120 volt outputs. So you might be asking, how am I going to get 120 volts out of this? Well, normally this is the 120 volt in, you know, to plug it into the wall and use the UPS as a UPS. I rewired it, so this is now my 120 volt out. I put a plug right on the end so I don't have to have wires, you know, ran to the back here. All I did to do that, little plug right down there, that was the 120 volts in, so you can see it is completely disconnected and removed. The yellow wires right here on these plugs right here, you know, connected onto there, which went back here to all the 120 volts out. I made a little pigtail right here and then wired it directly through a circuit breaker and then out. There used to be like a 50 amp circuit breaker here, and obviously that's way too big, so I took the 20 amp circuit breaker that the 20 amp plug was going to, and I just installed it right here. Alright, so if anybody ever asked if I use this to charge my 18650s, the answer is no, and I don't even have the capability to do so. The only other thing I did do in here obviously was my wires, and of course I vacuumed it out and cleaned all the fans and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think I'll be putting the battery tray back in because it's just more weight. Alright, the only thing I'm going to do next is throw the lid on and we'll throw it back in the rack. I did remove the HRC fuses real quick just so I can get this in here, and hopefully we don't have any problems. Let's do it. Alright, so in this mess right here, I made this cable right here. This is going to be my 24 volt connection. And I think I am just going to pretty much attach it somewhere around here. And then after that, I can kind of route it up to that little terminal block. And this will come apart because I have the fuse right here. This side, of course, has the fuse goes inside, so there's no way that centerpiece can come out and touch anything metal and short anything out. Alrighty, let's put this pack back in. Alrighty, I am going to call it for this video right meow. And just an FYI, the connections off of that ribbon cable kind of went down through the UPS circuit board. There's not really a good way to attach my little front button wires and whatnot, so the next option I could have done was maybe scratch off some of the insulation on that ribbon cable, but I just decided to run a little wire up to the front because it was just super easy to do that, and that one already had the little tabs sticking out, which were super easy to solder to. And now that I'm thinking about it, those wires, I might be able to run those also down to the Patron BMS and maybe set it to turn on and off the UPS, you know, based on parameters that I kind of save it to. IDK. It could be kind of cool. I'll have to look into that. Or if anybody else has done anything like that, you know, obviously leave a comment down below so I can ask you about it. Okay, now that the front buttons and the 24 volt 7S connection are done, the next video will probably be connecting all the wires from the, you know, the DIN rail on the back of the UPS and then over to the control panel rack. And of course attaching the bigger wires, the 2-gauge wires from the control panel rack over to the DIN rail. I think after that we could probably do a test run. I'm kind of nervous and excited all at the same time. Now tell me your honest opinion. What do you guys think about having the DIN rail and all the terminal blocks, you know, and the HRC fuses all mounted to the back of the UPS? It's not the greatest idea, I guess, but I do need a solid connection to, you know, house all of that stuff or connect all of that stuff. So that was the best thing that I could come up with. And of course, what do you guys think of me rewiring the wire that was used to, you know, use the UPS as a UPS? I mean, I never used that function anyway, so I didn't really see a point in it. You know, if I really need it, I could always put it back, but I don't think I'm gonna need it because I've never really used it before. I mean, I have used it before in the very beginning, but I have not used it since. So I thought it was a pretty good option to rewire it for my output. Obviously, whenever I get a real inverter, you know, I'm gonna remove the UPS and, you know, kind of redo some of that wiring anyway. So it's kind of permanent slash temporary. And yes, by the way, I am saving for a real inverter. The real inverter that I plan to get is going to be a grow watt, and it's going to be, I'm hoping for the 12,000 watt low frequency inverter. The plan is to just go big or go home because I eventually want to attempt to run the entire house off grid. Yes, the battery is kind of small right now. It is only a 10 kilowatt, and yes, I still have not started building my next battery packs, which maybe I'll start doing right after this little control panel, you know, wiring thing. From what I've heard and seen on the YouTubes, they look like a pretty awesome inverter. Anyway, yes, I am saving for a real inverter, and I'm probably about halfway there. Alright, that's pretty much all I got. Don't forget to come back for video 3, and I will see you on the next one. Alrighty, today, why am I looking up here? I'm not 100% sure. All right, today the plan is going to be to see if we can, that's going to be the other reason of pulling it out. Boom out.